gamers. Hello. Happy Monday, I think. It's just so fun when the stream starts off with drop frames. That's so fun. That's so cool. That's so neat. Yeah, let me go over to game screen. Alright, cool. I was sitting here, right? And I was like, I want to start at 8 on the dot. I'm going to start at 8 on the dot. So I'm looking at the time on my computer. And then I noticed that the time on my phone is off. And I was like, huh, that's weird. Well, let me just check my watch. And then the time on my watch is like completely different. Like they're showing all 3 different times. They're off by like a minute each, but they're all different times. And I'm like, what is happening? This is hell. I don't know what the time is. So that's been my day. That's been fun. Anyway, hello Black Blue, hello. And hello to everyone. I am back with some more 428 Shibuya Scramble. Last time, let me tab into the game and then hope that OBS doesn't drop any more frames, because otherwise that would be awkward. Alright, so last time we were with Kano a little bit, and we were learning more about... I didn't mean to do that. Oh, okay, well, it just took me to the direct place. We were learning more about Kanan. There we go, got there eventually. Maria is now currently missing and no longer a playable protagonist, and that kind of sucks, because I love her so much. But it's also because she currently has the virus, so we don't know if she's gonna actually die or not. Yeah, we're just kind of having this conversation on the rooftop right now. Time changes are always annoying. I think it's... No, they all changed. Like, they all changed to the correct time zone, which is Mountain Daylight Time. And they're all like a minute off, and I'm like, I don't know what is happening right now. I didn't have to tell you anything. You know what time it is. So why are you all saying different times? I love technology. I love technology. Anyway, so I don't know what you were saying to me before. Hold on. If you were Alphard, how would you steal it? Steal what? steal what? Lab security. Oh yeah, the antiviral. Okay, yeah, okay. Alright. There must be some way to get those locks open. Osawa heads up the lab. Wouldn't he be able to get it? If you can't sneak something in, maybe, sneak something out. Maybe you could sneak something in. What does that even mean? You know what? I'm gonna go with that one. This is why universal time, yeah, is the superior time zone. It really is. And it's like, man, if you can't sneak something out, maybe you can sneak something in. Kano hadn't had any particular flash of insight. He just figured the opposite of the obvious might be the answer. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. To his surprise, Kanan gave a nod. Very astute. Wait, what? Wait, really? Okay. 6 days ago, Alphard injected Hitomi Osawa with the UA virus. Oh, right. What? The tale had taken a sudden and very unexpected turn. So it wasn't only Maria who had been infected, but Hitomi as well. And 6 days ago at that. Wait, hold on. Hitomi Osawa was perfectly healthy earlier today. So that must mean... Exactly. Kenji Osawa administered the antiviral to her. An unsettling thought occurred to Kano. It was supposedly impossible for Osawa to access the antiviral all by himself. But if he'd been able to give it to his daughter all the same, then that had to mean... He needed Mamoru Tanaka's help to do it, of course, Kanan said. Which is why Alphard bribed Tanaka ahead of time. So that's what happened. I see. So so Alphard was really operating on 5D chess, basically, is how that works. Tanaka had been paid off to inject Hitomi with the virus. Getting Osawa to take action at that point wouldn't have been difficult. But why go through such lengths to get the antiviral administered to Hitomi? Why would Alphard have Hitomi infected with the virus, only to then have her father cure it? It's been roughly a week since she was given the antiviral. The DDS is still in her body. The what? Essentially, let me tell you how medicine works. Taking blood from Hitomi Osawa would allow someone to extract minuscule amounts of the antiviral. Kano was stunned. Suddenly, all these seemingly unrelated threads were beginning to form a pattern. So, since getting the antiviral itself out of the lab wasn't an option, Alphard must have thought of using a human vessel, he murmured. Which means the thing that Alphard's really after is... Kana nodded. Yes, Hitomi's blood, she finished. Alphard specifically requested that Hitomi make the ransom handoff, Kanan said. Additionally, the crime syndicate was hired to carry out a relay with the attaché case containing the ransom money. This would disrupt the investigation and distract the police, allowing the kidnappers to target Hitomi in secret. Oh, okay. And the one police officer who is supposed to watch her was also bribed into this. Okay, I see. Wait, no, hold on. There was something about this story that still made no sense to Kano. Tell me this, he said to Kanan. A, B, C. Okay, why not just kidnap Hitomi in the first place? Why not use Tanaka for the vessel instead of Hitomi? So we know the answer to this. They wanted to, but Maria kind of messed it all up. Why not use Tanaka for the vessel instead of Hitomi? Is there really no other way to get the antiviral? Why not use Tanaka? Why not use Tanaka for the vessel instead of Hitomi? Tanaka could enter the lab along with Osawa, then secretly inject himself with the antiviral. It didn't seem like it would be terribly difficult. A good question. If getting the antiviral were the only goal, that would be the most expedient means of doing it. So then why use Hitomi Osawa? Kano asked. Kanan thought about it for a moment before answering. Tanaka may have objected to the idea of giving himself the drug. I hear that it can have some severe side effects. But she seemed unconvinced by her own words. Do you know why they targeted Hitomi? Kano demanded. I don't. But I'm sure there must be some reason. Alphard hadn't gone with using Tanaka, which would have been the sure thing. Instead, they'd gone with Hitomi. Hitomi was injected with the virus, brought into the lab, and used to sneak the antiviral out. Now the plan was to extract the antiviral from Hitomi's blood. Something about this idea still struck Kano as incredibly odd. So wait, why not just abduct Hitomi from the very beginning? Why kidnap Maria instead? Had the kidnappers mistaken Maria for Hitomi, basically, surely they couldn't have been so foolish as to abduct the wrong target. The girls hadn't gotten themselves mixed up, had they? The girls hadn't gotten themselves mixed up, had they? They forgot. It was like, Hitomi woke up one day, it's like, wow, I feel like Maria suddenly. Wow, this is great. This is awesome. The girls hadn't gotten themselves mixed up, had they? Maria with Hitomi, Hitomi with Maria. If that were the case, then the syndicate's plan actually had been to abduct Hitomi. Yeah, Kano said excitedly. When you think about it, it all makes sense. Kanan gave him a look. No, it doesn't. Shut up. Not that this isn't an interesting idea. Well, so much for that, Kano thought. I've met both Maria and Hitomi, Kanan said. They look alike, but they're completely different. That was definitely Maria who was here just now. She had a point. Last night, back at the Osawa residence, when Hitomi had agreed to make the ransom handoff, her parents would have been with her. And they certainly wouldn't get Maria and Hitomi confused. It was hard to believe the girls had actually switched places, which meant the criminals had deliberately abducted Maria after all. Oh, yeah? It'd be like mixing up two completely different colors, Kanan said. They're that different. So it wasn't Alphard's mistake, because this guy is just amazing. He can think of everything. It's my fault that Maria was kidnapped. Kanan looked away. I contacted her before this all started. I told her about the kidnapping plan, and I gave her a GPS beacon to give to her sister, so that I could track Hitomi's location after she was abducted. But my plan backfired. Maria switched places with Hitomi and let herself get taken by Alphard. Okay, so that wasn't part of your plan then. What the hell? Why hadn't Maria taken this to the police? Why hadn't Maria taken this to the police? Or if she was so determined to protect her sister, why not just get her to leave town or something like that? There must have been some sort of accident, though, Kanan continued. The GPS was never turned on after the kidnapping, and I wasn't able to track Maria down. But there was something that even Alphard hadn't counted on. Kanan cast a glance over at Tatano. Oh, right, yeah, oh, hey. I forgot. They're working on different sides. I forgot completely about that. Okay. This person right here, she said. So Tatano had disrupted Alphard's plan by going after Hitomi himself. Considering where it's all led, Kanan continued, Alphard must be panicking about now. But we can't let our guard down. Even now, I'm sure the mastermind is thinking of some way to fit what this man has done into the master plan. So it's a perfectly imperfect plan. Is that what you're saying? Precisely. Kanan flashed Kano an approving grin. I had heard that from Stanley, Kano said. The man who drove you to the hospital earlier. That case officer, huh? Case officer? So that was it. Stanley was CIA. The U.S. Embassy in Alaska, Akasaka functions as the headquarters for the CIA's Japan branch. As the embassy building is not reliably secure, however, the agency carries out many of its activities in specially constructed embassy annex facilities, often under the guise of cultural exchange organizations. There are reportedly over 100 CIA personnel active in Japan, but given the inherent secrecy involved, the exact number is not officially known. Now that Kano thought about it, it all made sense. Since Alphard is an arms dealer with worldwide connections, I don't know what nation might be trying to obtain the antiviral. Obviously, any country that has the antiviral weapon would want to prevent their enemies from obtaining it. It's no huge surprise that people are butting in trying to put a stop to Alphard's plan. What is that beeping? A tiny beeping sound caught Kano's attention. Kanan pulled a PDA from her breast pocket. Personal Digital Assistant refers to various types of small portable devices for information management, occasionally also referred to as a handheld PC. Okay. All right, she just has that. Interesting. The GPS I gave to Maria has just been powered on. Now I can find her location. Where is she? She's on the move. But why is the GPS suddenly active now? Kanan frowned. Okay. At any rate, I've told you what I know. Now tell me where Hitomi is. All right. Kano got out his phone and called Stanley. I'm guessing there's going to be no answer? Or a keep out, maybe. Oh, never mind. I'm completely wrong. Yippee. Okay. The American was quick to pick up. What's going on? Where's Hitomi? We're on our way to Endo Electronics in Dogenzaka. Endo Electronics? Why are you going there? Kano was familiar with the dilapidated old storefront. He had passed by the place countless times. Too long of a story. There's a lot that's happened, Stanley replied. How are things on your end? About as bad as they could be, but I'm getting closer to the truth. Please, make sure you keep Hitomi safe. Alphard is after her blood. Her blood? Kano told Stanley what he heard from Kanan. I see. So, that's what's going on. Once we're finished with things in Dogenzaka, I'll bring Hitomi right back to the precinct. Where is she? Kanan asked as soon as Kano hung up. She's on her way to an electronics store in Dogenzaka. I see. Kanan checked Maria's location on her PDA. First, I need to get Maria, she said. I'll get to Hitomi after that. Yeah, why did Maria just run off? Maria, I mean, I know she's a girl with a mission, but she just kind of ran off immediately. She didn't even check to look back of like, oh yeah, I see. It was Kanan who saved me. They're just like, I'm just gonna get out of here. I'm going with you. Be my guest. With that, Kanan was off and running. Kano took one last glance at the unconscious Tatano, then hurried after Kanan as fast as he could. Interesting. Okay. Ooh, intense music. Okay. They ran from South Hill and Nampeidai toward Shibuya Station. As they darted and weaved madly through the narrow side streets, Kanan took an occasional glimpse at her PDA. It felt to Kano like it must have been taking the shortest possible route to Maria's location. He stayed quiet, keeping pace as Kanan led the way. Before he knew it, they were heading up Dogenzaka. I don't think we've actually heard this track, like, since the very beginning of the game, since the stakeout and the handoff. In not too long, they'd be at Endo Electronics. Hey! Kano called out to Kanan. What? She shouted back without turning. Are you sure this is the right area? Are you doubting the GPS? No, it's not that. Actually, can I see that GPS unit? Can I see it? Kano peered over Kanan's shoulder and saw with the GPS that the GPS was indeed pointing in the direction they were headed. They weren't just running around at random, nor was the unit broken. Huh. Endo Electronics is right up ahead, he said. What? Kanan stopped abruptly. What are you suggesting? The twins are heading for the same location. That's my guess. Still, what did that actually mean? Kano hadn't figured that out yet. Interesting. They took off running again, and before long, Endo Electronics came into view. Kanan stopped in front of the shop door. Right here, she said, glancing again at her GPS. I knew it, Kano thought. Endo Electronics, the same place Hitomi was headed. Guess we're all winding up together, Kanan said. Or else we've been brought together. She peered keenly at a building and its surroundings. I feel like we are getting very close to the end of the game. I said this on the stream schedule as well, but I feel like we're getting very close to the end of the game. This is kind of like the climax point of the story, it feels like. Especially because Maria has just dropped out of existence. She's just not a protagonist anymore, especially. But, interesting. It makes me think, because I see how Achi fits into this. I see how, I mean, Osawa doesn't leave the house. He doesn't leave the house, but he still fits into things. How is Minorikawa gonna show up at Endo Electronics at the end of the day, you know? Like, how does that work or fit into anything is my question. But interesting. She peered keenly at the building and its surroundings. Kano swallowed hard. We? You think we've been roped into this too? Quite possibly. Kanan flashed a winning smile, then started to head into the shop. Hold on, I need to report in to HQ. Kano hurriedly called Kuze on his cell. Hopefully Kuze doesn't have any lines here. My god. I've located Maria Osawa. Kuze's words came out as a surprised and childish yelp. Yeah? Come on. Kanan's smile turned to a steeply glare. Time is critical. He nodded silently back at her. Kuzei asked. I can't say that right now, sir. Please, just leave me to this. Makano ignored the director's squawking and hung up. Thank goodness. I can't believe it all leads back to this one shop. I didn't really think that it would. Kanan had already entered the shop. She seemed wholly unconcerned by the idea that she might be playing right into Alphard's hands. Despite her youth, she clearly thought of herself as quite capable. Warily, he followed after her. After navigating a veritable cavern of junk, they came to a door that led to the living area beyond. It's always keeping you guessing. It really is. It's like, I didn't think this was going to be relevant at all. But okay, I guess we're just here now. Kanan quietly opened the door and immediately stepped inside. The home was divided into a dwelling area and a workroom. A man's voice could be overheard from the workroom, raised in anger. Don't you want to save Suzune? Kano and Kanan, attorneys at law, crept closer. Peering through the next doorway, they saw a tense confrontation in progress. Oh, what the hell? Okay. Maria? Hitomi? Dad? The father? Achi? Stanley? Okay, I see. Maria and Stanley were standing there, looking down at a middle-aged man who had just restrained Hitomi with the stun gun pressed to her throat. Dang. Dad, of course I want to help Suzune. A young man stepped into view, speaking to the older fellow. But do you think this is what she'd want you to do? Kano watched intently, tensing for action. There was so much at risk here. He was about to barge into the workroom when Kanan grabbed him by the shoulder. Let's wait and see how this goes first, she whispered. He realized this was good advice. I never do that. If they provoke the older man, things could very well take a sharp turn for the worse. They just have to hope the young man could talk him down. I think I'm gonna get keep out here, right? Yeah. Okay. Alright, so... Now the obvious next step would be to go over to Achi here, but I am so curious, more curious than I've ever been. What is Minorikawa doing right now? What is he even doing? How does this... why is it relevant? Why does it even matter? I'm so curious. So we're gonna go and check in with him. The TV news continued to report how Mamoru Tanaka had been killed in the minivan explosion. What does this mean? Oh, that was me talking. Chiaki blinked in confusion. I mean, Hana told us herself that the van explosion was her father committing suicide, didn't she? The only explanation I can think of, Minorikawa replied, is that Hana was lying. He scratched his head as he considered the situation. But why? Chiaki said. Ozu let out a snort. Well, it would seem Mr. Toyama had her lie in order to deceive us. What an upstanding individual, using his own daughter to buy himself some time. That's what I thought too. That's what I thought as well. But it really did seem like Hana was like seriously convinced that like, oh yeah, my dad is dead. I don't know all the specifics. Minorikawa went to yell at the guy, but he managed to hold his tongue. The important thing was that Toyama was still alive. And if he was still alive, there was still a way to save Heaven Publishing. They'd get the current issue out on time, with the big scoop waiting in the wings for an issue after that. From there on out, it should be smooth sailing. Well, no matter, Osu said. Seeing as Mr. Toyama isn't dead after all, we'll just wait here for him. He sat back down on the sofa. But Sagawa leaned threateningly toward Chiaki. Hey, he snarled. You sure you don't know where the guy's hiding out? I don't, Chiaki shot back. And even if I did, I'd never tell you. Say what now? He leaned in even closer just as she stood on her tiptoes in defiance, and their foreheads collided with a dull thud. Both reeled back, clutching their heads in their hands because they're stupid. Just calm down, Chiaki, Minorikawa said as he began rooting through Toyama's desk. For now, I'm going to look for clues as to where Toyama might have gone. You can just focus on working on your article. Oh? Ozu raised an eyebrow. Getting all cooperative all of a sudden, I see. I want to change up the plan for next month's issue. Chiaki finally finding her voice. I know, and it backfires in comedic timing, basically. But good for her, honestly. And I want to change up the plan for next month's issue, and I can't do that without the editor-in-chief's approval, so I'm gonna go track him down. Okay. What Minorikawa was actually looking for, however, was the back issue of 4-Star General Gossip. He was pretty sure that the article on Osawa had been printed in the magazine's inaugural issue. Okay, cool. Oh, right. I forgot that you're working for Osawa. I forgot about that entirely. You haven't really checked in with him. If he could find that scandalous piece that the scientist had asked for, he'd also be able to get his big lead about the power balance of the world being at stake. And if he could get that, not only would next month's issue be a sure thing, it would be a good bet that sales figures would go through the roof. In fact, they may even base a game on it called 428 Shibuya Scramble. He found a file folder full of early material and quickly flipped through it. It didn't take him long to find the article. Floundering Okoshi Pharmaceutical arranges marriage of political convenience. The large headline practically jumped off the page. Minorikawa quickly read over the story. The basic gist of it was this. The corporate director of Okoshi Pharmaceutical had sacrificed his daughter in order to keep a researcher named Kenji Osawa on board. The daughter, however, had previously been dating another man. That must be what Osawa wanted him to look into, the guy his wife had been dating before they were married. It should be easy enough to just ask whoever had written the article. Minorikawa's gaze jumped to the end of the piece, looking for the writing credit. The piece had been written by Toyama himself. Yeah, I kind of figured. Hey, ain't you done yet? Sagawa yelled. Tell us where Toyama is already. Yeah, Minorikawa thought. We're going to need to do something about these guys. I'm still looking into it, he said. Just hold on. He made a show of opening and closing various desk drawers. The drawers themselves were packed with a jumbled mess of electrical and gas bills, noodle house delivery menus, and the like. Look faster, Sagawa growled. Okay. So an A or B choice. For now, Minorikawa decided he'd better butter this guy up. Maybe he could mollify this guy by having some noodles delivered for dinner. Both of these are kind of the same things in different ways, but you know what? Maybe he could mollify this guy by having some noodles delivered for dinner. Hey, you guys hungry? I was thinking of ordering some soba. Man, this ain't no time for that, Sagawa snarled. Besides, we just had soba anyhow. Ugh, it was awful. Don't talk to me about noodles. Oh, that's true. You guys were at the mall, I think, so you must have had some. Sagawa launched into a shadowboxing session, as if trying to punch out the provider of his disappointing soba. The guy clearly had zero capacity for sitting still. Minorikawa had found the back issue of Gossip he was looking for. He still needed Chiaki's article, though, and she wasn't quite finished yet. He had to buy some more time. By the way, he said to Sagawa, are you familiar with SOS? SOS? The thug paused mid-jab. Yeah, SOS. I was planning on interviewing them later today. Hear they're pretty tough guys. Only one of them who'd be able to give me a fight would probably... Only one of them who'd probably be able to give me a fight would probably be that Achi'Endo. Except, as I hear it, he's left the gang. Aha! Really now? Heard anything else interesting? Sounds like nowadays they're being run by some guy named Susumu. The name Susumu rung a bell. Those two young punks who had been arguing after the van explosion had mentioned him. Seems like SOS is in a pretty rough state since Achi left, though, Sagawa added. Minorikawa didn't miss a beat. What do you mean, rough state? Back in the day, they were all goody two-shoes, never shake folks down or steal or any of that stuff. Guess their founder, Achi, hated that sort of thing. But now that he's out, a lot of rough and tumble, hot-blooded types have been signing up with them. Smart move is not getting involved with SOS nowadays, really. Hard to find a scarier bunch around here, when there's a lot of them together. And their main hangout, that's at Inferno, yeah? Yeah, and over in Harajuku. Known as Urahara for short, the area east of the Japan Rail Harajuku station, around where Takeshita Dori meets Meiji Dori, there are many small clothing and accessory stores set up in renovated houses. Most of these shops are on the cutting edge of youth fashion, offering quirky and unique means of personal expression. Man, you've been listening out in the streets? What gives? Ura Harajuku, huh? Minorikawa smiled to himself. Inferno's location had practically fallen into his lap. Suddenly, Sagawa's eyes went wide. Aha! So that's where Toyama is. Wait, nah, no way a coward like him would go to a place like that. Chiaki looked up from her keyboard. Look, can you please shut up? No, you shut up. That's my phone. That's my phone. Minorikawa pulled out his cell from his pocket. Oh, there he is. It was Toyama's name on the incoming call screen. Minorikawa's heart skipped a beat. Toyama, where are you? Okay, you could just say his name, sure. Toyama, where are you? He blurted out as he picked up. Chiaki, Ozu, and Sagawa turned to look at him as one. Well, what were you thinking, faking your death like that? Even if we could fill those pages and postpone repayment, all it would do is delay the inevitable. I'd still be up to my ears in debt. So I thought if I made it look like I was dead. But that kind of backfired because Kano was like, you know what, maybe you should just go ahead and post a name. Like, what's the worst that can happen? Minorikawa let out an exasperated sigh. Well, everyone already knows you're still alive. So your little attempt at subterfuge, okay, didn't even wind up buying you time. What? Toyama's hysterical squeak was painful to hear. Alright, listen up, Minorikawa said. If it's the debt you're worried about, you'll be able to pay it back real soon. What do you mean? I've landed a huge scoop. You could call a prince you could do a prince run-of-the-mill run of 1 million copies and still sell out if we run it as an article. Okay, I got there eventually. Yippee. Toyama perked right up. Wait, you really mean it? I'll give you the details. Just get your butt back here. But aren't those loan sharks there at the office right now? Fine, then I'll come to you. Tell me where you are. The two thugs crowded nearer, a predatory gleam in their eyes. And Minorikawa had a flash of inspiration. Got it, he said quickly, before Toyama could respond. Miyashita Park. I'm on my way now. Don't go anywhere. Ozu and Sagawa grinned at one another, then bolted out the door. Okay, well that was really freaking easy to get rid of them. Heh, I'm amazing, Minorikawa said as their footsteps receded. Those guys took the bait. I sent them to Miyashita Park. But you don't understand. I'm at Miyashita Park right now. No! He allowed himself a cocksure grin. Right then. So where are you really, Toyama? You imbecile! I am at Miyashita Park right now. What? Minorikawa fought the urge to pull his hair out. What the hell are you doing in some place like that? Why the hell? Why the hell did you tell them Miyashita Park? I thought that would be a clever ruse. Well, it wasn't. This is no time to be fighting. Chiaki butted in. Of course. Yeah, really, it's just amazing. Yeah, you're right. Minorikawa scowled. Anyway, Tsubayama, those guys are headed your way. We need you to get out of there and go someplace we can talk. I can meet you there. Right, okay. They needed someplace safe and public where they could speak freely. Someplace where the staff wouldn't be overly nosy. Well, surely that will be, I don't know, Endo Electronics. No, that wouldn't be it. Just tell him to go somewhere else. He has a head start now. Yeah. They have done that, but it's like, man, he's in the area now. It's like, wow, I can't believe it all worked out so horribly. Let's see. The familiar cafe by the station was a natural choice. Recalling the noodle house he'd seen earlier, he opted for that. Nothing suitable came to mind. Probably Toyama should decide. He shouldn't decide anything, I don't think. Let's do the familiar cafe, because they have a set for that, and I know that if we go back there, we can indeed have a conversation. The familiar cafe by the station was a natural choice. He quickly described the location. Okay, Toyama said. Café Le Trek, got it. I'll see you there. He hung up and Minorikawa quickly gathered his belongings. Chiaki, how's that copy coming along? Well, almost... almost done? Just a little more, I think. Alright, bring your computer and come with me. I'll read over what you got so far. Minorikawa waited as Chiaki got ready to head to the cafe. As the two were heading out of the office, however, someone else opened the door. Who? What? Huh? Hit? What? You've got 14 minutes and 57 seconds left to send to press. The writer submits to the editor submits to the designer. This is the next step in that whole handoff process. Naturally, being late for this causes quite a lot of trouble. 56? 55? Who? Oh, it's you! You're the man! Dude, we haven't even seen this guy. We saw this guy once. He's like, wow, hello. Wonderful day we're having. We saw this guy once. Yeah, I forgot about him. I'm guessing this is Alphard? I'm guessing. A slender young man with a gaudy necktie entered the room and sat down on the nearest desk, staring fixedly at his pocket. Minorikawa narrowed his eyes dubiously. Who the hell are you? Always make sure you show up 15 minutes ahead of the appointed time. That's just common decency. The man gave no indication that he even heard Minorikawa's question. I suppose I can wait here, he continued. Just for another 14 minutes and 20 seconds. Mr. Mino? Is that guy talking about our submission? Chiaki stared doubtfully at the newcomer. Hey you, Minorikawa asked. Are you from the printer? But the man did not reply. Don't ignore me. Are you from the printer? Still, the man remained silent. Minorikawa was furious. Look, cut the crap, he roared. In response, the man quietly reached into his suit pocket and pulled out his business card. My name is not Hey You. Interesting. He handed out, he says, sorry, interesting. He handed the card to Minorikawa. It read, Cho Nippon Printing, Sales Department, Division Number 1, Koichiro Katayama. And you're supposed to be Alphard, apparently? Maybe everyone, maybe the real Alphard was the friends and enemies we made along the way. You know what? Let's just go with that. I'm Koichiro Katayama, newly designed to Heaven Publishing. A pleasure to meet you. What the hell? My predecessor is in the hospital due to a car accident. Sachio Usui, 39 years old, single, a longtime veteran at Cho Nippon Printing, rather timid by nature, the strain of dealing with publishers makes him sick to his stomach. At around 1:10 p.m. earlier today, while driving to meet one of his clients, he had to swerve to avoid a young man and woman who darted into the street. He crashed into the car next to him and ended up at the hospital. I don't even remember who that could possibly be. I assume Achi and Hitomi? I just don't remember. It's been so long. Yep, yep. There we go. He should make a complete recovery in about 2 months. Interesting. Wonder if the man... yeah, if the man and the woman is Achi and Hitomi. Yep. It ended up being them, so... Well, what were you doing? Well, what are you doing here, Katayama? Minori asked. Minorikawa, even. Minori. Who the frick is Minori? I thought we had until 8 o'clock to complete proofreading. 8 o'clock? Surely you must be joking. Our company's proofing deadline is 5:30. Katayama stared fixedly back at Minorikawa. Now that had to be a joke. I heard from editor-in-chief that it was 8 o'clock. I take that to mean, then, that you don't have any copy for us. It's not that we don't have it, Minorikawa said. It's just not finished yet. Just hold on until 8. Katayama raised an eyebrow. No. Publisher and printer need to work in concert. Perhaps my predecessor was the sort to delay the proofing deadline owing to your circumstances here. But I'm in charge, and I do not make exceptions. The proofing deadline is 5:30 sharp, and I intend to keep it that way. And while we're having this discussion, you're down to 12 minutes and 32 seconds. Interesting. Of course they would have a WoW connection to that. Yeah, basically. It's kind of nice that everything is, interconnected. It's like something that happened 5 hours ago, it feels like, which has really just been a month ago for me. At the rate I'm playing this game, it's just like, oh yeah, that one thing, of course. Of course. Don't you remember it? Katayama held out his pocket watch as if to emphasize the point. That's ridiculous, Minorikawa exclaimed. Just who the hell do you think you are? You guys are going to be printing a paper that I wrote. Do you even know how lucky that makes you? So just wait, okay? Just give us until 8 o'clock. Just give us 3 more days. Just give us until we're done. Is this an important choice? I don't know, just give us until we're done. Until you're done. And when might that be, I wonder? Katayama's tone was dubious. I said till we're done, Minorikawa snapped. And I mean till we're done. Katayama thought for a moment, then nodded. Very well. Then I shall wait until you're done. Really? Katayama gave another slight nod. You've got 10 minutes and 46 seconds left. Hey! As soon as I leave here, that's when you'll be done, you'll see. Katayama's face was a mask of cool nonchalance. You son of a bitch! Don't get all high and mighty just because you work for a printer. High and mighty. I'd say it's the people on the publishing side of things that act high and mighty. Whatever high-minded claims you might make, without us, you'd have nothing to put on the store shelves. Forgetting that and blithely ignoring your proofing deadline makes more work for our end. Just what are you getting at, I wonder? Now it's 10 minutes and 20 seconds. Minorikawa ground his teeth so hard he could hear it. His usual tactics were useless here. Katayama was simply too unflappable to be browbeaten. If he backed down now, though, it was game over. As the noose is still hanging in the background, by the way. I just realized. It's just still in the shot. Okay. We just never took that down. 10 minutes and 7 seconds remaining. I realize there's a little point, but I'll wait until the designated time. That's just common decency. Katayama's pet phrase. Thus far, he has said, "That's just common decency," 3 times in this story. Oh, I wouldn't even know. Always make sure you show up 15 minutes ahead of appointed time. I realize there's little point, but I'll wait until the designated time. There was one more. Do you know when and where it was? Can you spot when Katayama said this? In the train car, probably, with Kano, all the way back at the beginning. Katayama's eyes were once again locked on his pocket watch. It was no use. Minorikawa couldn't find a way to talk this guy around. Chiaki held her hand up. May I see something? Isn't it also common... may I say something, I think, was what it said. Isn't it also common decency not to break a promise once it's been made? If you're referring to the 8 o'clock deadline, I was not the one who promised that. Maybe not, but I believe your predecessor's responsibilities become your responsibilities. Katayama crossed his arms and gave her a bemused look. What's her name, miss? Chiaki, she said bashfully. Chiaki Iso. The printer's expression brightened visibly. Good. That timid hesitation of yours is just splendid. You have none of the arrogance so typical among publishers. Huh? Chiaki was rather taken aback. Chiaki was taken rather aback. Was rather taken aback. I usually see it as rather taken aback rather than taken rather aback. In deference to your polite demeanor, I shall wait until 7 o'clock. That is the latest I can possibly allow. All right, Minorikawa shouted, practically in Katayama's face. You agree to those terms? No, I wasn't talking to you. But we've got the terms on our own. Katayama reeled ever so slightly. I'm not certain you're in any position to set terms here. Just shut up and listen. From here on out, you're coming with us. What? Why? This guy has... I don't know. He says he's working for the publisher, and maybe he is, but he has, like, very big final boss energy. Main villain energy. Like, mwahaha, look at me, hello. I don't know. I don't know if I really trust him. We're going to finish up our copy on site, and then burn the data onto CD and hand it over to you there. That's why. Katayama let out a sigh of resignation. Oh, very well. I suppose I'd simply be waiting here anyway. Minorikawa pumped his fist in victory. Alright, Chiaki. Go and copy the DTP data we've got so far onto your computer. Sure thing, Mr. Mino. Chiaki quickly set about copying the data from the editing department's desktop. Okay, done. Let's go. With the others in tow, Minorikawa headed for the cafe where Toyama would be waiting. Nah, I think he's evil for sure. I think he's evil for sure. They reached Café Lautrec without incident, and Minorikawa promptly spotted the publisher. Over here, Toyama hissed, eyeing his surroundings with obvious unease. Hana sat by his side, sullenly sipping on some juice. Or maybe she's just a really good liar. I don't know. One or the other. I don't know how that works. The waitress came over as Minorikawa joined them. May I take your order? She asked. Water. Just water, sir. Fine, make it a double. Oh my gosh. Exasperated, the waitress headed back to the kitchen. Toyama looked over at Katayama. Who's this guy? Who's this guy? I'm Koichiro Katayama from Cho Nippon Printing. Katayama presented his business card. Toyama turned to Minorikawa with a quizzical look. What's someone from the printing company doing with you? I'll explain it later. There's no time for that right now, Minorikawa replied. First, I need you to answer some questions. Does the name Kenji Osawa ring any bells? Osawa? Toyama closed his eyes and thought. Heads up, laboratory at Okoshi Pharmaceutical. You ran a piece on him in the first ever issue of 4-Star General Gossip. Toyama's face lit up with recognition. Yes, that political marriage piece. Yeah, that one. Do you remember the details from that article? Of course. Who do you think I am? Toyama puffed himself up proudly. I used to be local news copy editor for the Central Times. I've got the details for all the stuff I've ever covered here in my head. In that case, do you know who Kenji Osawa's wife was dating before they got married? Toyama blinked his eyes vacantly. Hey, what's the matter? Minorikawa asked. This is a pretty tough pop quiz you're giving me. Surprise, kids! Whoa, what? It's time for a science quiz. What colorless, odorless gas, lighter than an air used for consumer and multiple gas applications is also known as marsh gas or a swamp gas? Tune in next time for the answer. Are you actually gonna give me the answer? I don't know, helium? Propane? Wait, what did it have? Helium. Helium. I think I know the answer. I'm gonna wait for the game. I think the game will actually follow up on this. The game will get to the final and like all of Shibuya has been saved and it's like, yeah, I really did a good job today. And that's when they're gonna tell me the answer. I believe in this game. I think it's helium. We're gonna go with helium for now, and we're gonna see if we're both right, honestly. Cut the crap, man. You just said you have all the details inside your head. Oh, they're all in there, all right. They're just not coming out. That's not your voice. What am I doing? Minorikawa slumped. Mr. Toyama, please. Whether or not you'll be able to pay off your debts depends on your memory here. Hearing this, Hana cast a cold glare up at her father. All right. I can remember. Or at least I can try. Toyama folded his arms and hummed to himself, his gaze turned inward. So... I feel like it was a really common name. Sato, Chiaki chirped. Yamada. Was it either of those? They're pretty common names. But Toyama shook his head. Minorikawa offered a guess of his own. Suzuki, Suzuki, Takahashi, Endo, Tanaka. Amazing. Well, it's Tanaka. If you get this wrong, do you just get a bad end here? I guess. Tanaka. No, not that. It was something else. That can't be true. His name was Mamoru Tanaka. You're wrong. Just then, the television inside the cafe switched over to the news report on the Shibuya explosion. The remains of the individual discovered within the minivan itself, who has since been identified as pharmaceutical company executive Mamoru Tanaka. Mamoru Tanaka? Toyama turned around to look at the TV. An image of the victim's face appeared on the screen. Ugh! The publisher blurted, nearly falling out of his seat. That's it! It was him, right there! Mamoru Tanaka! That's what I said, Tanaka! Toyama pointed excitedly at the TV screen. That's who Kenji Osawa's wife was dating before they got married. Mamoru Tanaka. Minorikawa felt himself getting goosebumps. The victim of the terrorist bombing in Shibuya was also linked to the researcher who was key to a terrorist viral scare. His reporter's hunch was now a certainty. Right now, Shibuya was at the center of some massive conspiracy. This went far beyond even a major scoop. Mr. Toyama, we need to make sure that next month's issue hits shelves. What is this drink and why is it green? Minorikawa called up Kenji Osawa to let him know the results of the investigation. I think we gotta keep out? Yeah, okay. So, Now, you know what? Let's make the jump. Yeah, let's do it. Osawa's phone rang and Minorikawa's phone number popped up on the LCD's display. The reporter must have finished looking into the matter that Osawa had asked about. Mr. Osawa? Sorry to keep you waiting. How did it go? Well, I looked into the background of that story you asked about, and I learned who your wife was dating. Who was it? Osawa asked immediately. There was a brief pause. Mamoru Tanaka. I see. Finally, he had proof, positive, of a relationship between I and Tanaka. Now, more than ever, there was no time to waver. No matter how painful the reality was, it was also true that if they hadn't been dating, there would probably be no way of, if they hadn't been dating, there would probably be no way of saving Maria. I guess that is true. In a weird way, yeah. So, Minorikawa said, what was this big thing about disrupting the power balance of the world all about? There's something I need to take care of on my end first. Once I'm finished, I'll tell you everything. Yeah, that's fine. Things are pretty hectic on my end right now anyway. Osawa had expected Minorikawa to put up more of a fight. He'd figured a reporter for 4-star General Gossip would be a bit more persistent. Oh, by the way, there was one other thing I want to tell you, Mr. Osawa. Osawa could practically sense the finger pointing his way from the other end of the line. Don't be too angry with your wife. All too often in this world, people let their anger get in the way of solving their problems. You may have a point. Osawa let out a wry chuckle. All right then. I'll call you back later. Interesting. Osawa found Ai standing by herself in the yard. She kept her back to him as he approached. May I have a moment? He asked quietly. What? Still, she didn't bother to turn around. There's something important I need to talk to you about. I'm not in the mood right now. Please, I realize you're upset about Tanaka's death, but... At the mention of Tanaka's name, I slowly shook her head. Don't. Just tell me what you want. Hurry up and get to the point. Osawa tried to move closer to her, but she pointedly kept her distance. Interesting. I don't know what a wry chuckle sounds like. I guess it's more like, huh, I don't know. It's the chuckle that Kazuma Kiryu has, where he's like, huh, well, I guess all's well that ends well. Hello, Chu. I hope you have been well. This was no time to mince words. There was something Osawa needed to hear for himself before this went any further. Eh? This was no time to mince words. Did Tanaka give you his password? His password? For the electronic lock on the lab. I need it in order to get the antiviral out. I turned to face him at last. To get it out? What are you thinking? That belongs to the company. Are you serious? We're all gonna die. I just need one dose to save Maria. Please, if you know, please tell me. I don't know it. Ai's voice was barely a whisper. Osawa looked at his wife right in the eye. You're telling the truth. I am. I see. Then, do you have any idea what number he might have used for the password? Ai shook her head silently, then turned her back to her husband once more. Even if I did know, she said, I wouldn't tell you. Why not? Don't you get it? Ai's words came out as a strangled rasp. Do you even know why I'm with you? She snapped. You really have no idea how much you're worth, do you? The value of one woman's life versus the potential profits your research would bring in. There's no comparing the two. If it meant that Okoshi Pharmaceutical could monopolize your talents, then what did it even matter what I wanted for myself? There was something akin to desperation in Ai's words. And so you sent me those threatening emails too. What? I looked at him in shock. He knew he'd guessed correctly. You would go that far, just to keep me tied to your father's business? That's right. I would. I bit down on her lip hard. The BGM is getting so serious. It is. It's a really impactful track. But what would you even know about how I feel? I'm sorry. Don't apologize. I'm not the victim here. You say that. But isn't it because of me that you and Tanaka weren't able to stay together? I began to tremble. Her secret was out. When did you figure it out? She asked. Earlier today. That tie clip. Right. Not the sort of gift one gives to a husband's coworker, is it? Ai's smile was bitter with self-deprecation. Osawa couldn't help pity her. Even Tanaka could have suspected that she was placed at the company's profit. Even Tanaka must have suspected that she placed the company's profit above all else if she'd go to such lengths to protect it. I don't think I read that sentence correctly, but I'm just gonna continue forward. I'm just, yeah, words. Whatever you say, game. It was like she'd given up her entire life just for that. Please. Don't mess my life up any more than you already have. Ai's words were only a faint murmur, but Osawa felt the rejection they carried with agonizing clarity. This shot is so cinema. I'm sorry, this is a very emotional moment, but it's so peak and cinema though. I really like it. Tanaka hadn't given Ai his password. Osawa's last chance had gone up in smoke. He let out a long, shaky breath and shut his eyes tight. Was it true? Was there nothing more he could do? Keep out. A sad keep out. Oh no. Dang it, I didn't expect to get another keep out. Okay. Alright. Alrighty then. The camera compositions are actually really good. Yeah. Keep out. Sad out. The framing of the shots is really good, it makes sense for like a game like this where it's like, it's just text and photos. You would want to make sure that the photos at least are really good when they need to be. Otherwise that would be pretty bad. So. Let's see. We have a keep out here. I guess we'll just continue on with Minorikawa then. Minorikawa. The man didn't seem terribly surprised. He'd probably had his suspicions all along. Osawa told him that there was something he needed to do before he was ready to give details on the big scoop, but that he would call back later. In the meantime, Minorikawa knew he'd have his hands full getting the current issue of Gossip wrapped up for the 7 o'clock deadline. He slapped his hands down on the table. All right, emergency editing meeting right here, he announced. Dang, you couldn't even give the child like a coloring book or something. I don't know, I just feel bad for Hana. It's like nothing to do, just sip your little drink and, you know, look sad. We need to get a lead in on the Shibuya terrorist bombing into the next issue. The article about the twins winning the beauty contest can be dropped for that. We'll use the info from Kenji Osawa as the basis for our big scoop in the issue after that. Mr. Toyama, any problems with that? No, that should be fine. But what about the remaining pages for next month's issue? Minorikawa opened the file on his computer. The layout built in the DTP came up on the monitor. The report on the Burning Hammer sales demo. Oh yeah, I forgot about it. Remember 18 billion years ago when there was a Burning Hammer sales demo? Forgot about that, man. Oh gosh. Whatever happened to Boss? Whatever happened to do, like, Cheery? Where's Cheery? Where'd she go? All these different things. The surveillance camera opinion piece, the interview with Oarai, those three were finished, the copy already incorporated into the layout. Once Chiaki's street interview piece was loaded in, that could be checked off as well. Chiaki, how's your copy coming along? I'm sorry, I just need a little bit longer. The writing seemed to still be giving her a fair bit of trouble. The article on SOS was still just a placeholder in the layout, and Minorikawa hadn't even gotten any further material for that, putting it even further behind than Chiaki's street interviews. Still, he'd at least learned where Shibuya's legendary street gang made their hangout. He just had to take the risk of dropping in on them unannounced to ambush them with some interview questions. And then there was a lead-in for the Shibuya bombing. That wasn't even in the layout yet. It was a completely blank slate. Okay, well, surely... I know he does publishing work now, but surely Toyama can write a little bit about the bombing. Toyama can write about the bombing. I can go get the interview from SOS, and Chiaki's still working, and we're all set, right? Against all odds, they were going to need to put that article together from nothing with just an hour and change. It was an impossible amount of work for just him and Chiaki to do. Well. And how are things coming along? Oh, well, hello. How are things coming along? Katayama... Give me a moment. Okay. Katayama rose and came closer, trying to peer at the monitor. Minorikawa hurried to cover the screen. Look! If the printer rep saw all the blank pages, he might decide to stop waiting. Would you mind telling me roughly what % of the total you have completed thus far? What percent? Come off it, man. We're at 100%. If you're 100% done, that implies you're all finished. Could I please have the data then? No. I'm saying our willpower is at 100%. I'm not even going to pretend I understand what you mean by that. Okay. I was like, okay, I said, like, give me a moment, because I was looking around. I was like, I hear a sound. What is that? It's the background noise in the restaurant. But something about it is just like, I don't know. It made me think that, like, somebody was outside or something. Interesting. Katayama sat back down in his chair. Minorikawa, Toyama asked, his expression uneasy. So, I know I asked before, but why is someone from the printer here again? Just a little bubble. Katayama promptly chimed in. The long and short of it is that your proofing deadline has been changed to 7 o'clock, he said. What? But that's impossible. Who's doing the lead-in for the Shibuya bombing? Toyama eyed Minorikawa and then Chiaki. Both stared back non-committally. Ambiance too real. Good job, sound designer. Yeah, yeah. It's a reaction video. Oh my gosh. He's like, hello, welcome to my YouTube channel where I react to this dumb idiot. Look at him. Look at his face. I can see him totally looking down on the rest of the people here. So, we'll never meet that deadline. We don't have enough people. No, we do have enough people. Minorikawa thrust out his finger. Mr. Toyama, you're going to write that one, and you handle the layout. Exactly. What? Heaven Publishing is your company. Won't you step up in order to protect it? Toyama hung his head. Even if I headed to the scene right now, I'm sure the other outlets have already gotten their coverage. I wouldn't be able to find anything new to write about. Dang, animation. Look at this guy, he's so bored. He's like, damn, why am I here? That was amazing. That was my favorite video. That was my favorite live action video of this entire game, for sure. That was great. Hana watching in like complete, like, whatever, I don't care. I do the same thing all the time, so yeah, yippee. Chiaki just being like, well, this is awkward. Oh boy. Katayama just being like, god damn it, why am I here for this? All of it was so amazing. Peak, exactly. They took one shot specifically to show the boredom. I know. They're like, we need you all to know. We need you all to know how everyone feels in this scene at this exact moment. So you're just going to give up? A moment later, Toyama was on the floor, Minorikawa glaring down at him. You've always said you wanted to tell the world about the things the mass media can't or won't write about. So what the hell difference does it make if they've already gotten sound bites thereafter? Minorikawa's voice was raw with emotion. Don't you dare give up. Not that easily. Get your ass out there. Find something that only you can write about. Minorikawa. Toyama began to object. Then he glanced over at Hana. There was an imploring look in her eyes as well. It's the same look. it's the same look of boredom, I feel like, but sure. Okay. I get what you're saying, Toyama grumbled. But still, you're expecting a lot. But then, despite his words, he flashed a broad grin. Yeah. Minorikawa let out a quiet chuckle. And it's got you all fired up. Yeah, I'm fired up, alright. Toyama's face shone with a resolve Minorikawa hadn't seen in a long time. There we go. That's the Toyama I know. You know, I'm really sorry. Now I see the huge burden I put on you. Your face is like messed up, man. Oh well. But damn it, it's going to be alright. Getting to his feet, Toyama took his daughter by the hand and strolled boldly out of the cafe, looking like a changed man. You didn't have to take Hana with you. Chiaki could have watched her for a little bit. It's fine. Also, the loan sharks are still after you. Just be careful. Just be a little careful here. I like to think that it's disappointment in her father. I know, it's just the same general expression used over and over and over again, and it's just like the same disappointment. He's like, yeah, you're right, Hana. It's like, I literally didn't say anything, but okay. Even if Toyama were still in his prime, he'd be cutting it close to do that article in an hour. But he would pull through somehow. When it came to taking care of Hana, the man would rise to the occasion again and again. Father and daughter disappeared into the crowd, hand in hand. Minorikawa shook himself out of his reverie. All right, he cried. Despite the clear blue sky, an unexpected gust of wind blew across his cheek. Come on, guys. We gotta get going, too. Things might look grim, but he wasn't going to give up until the bitter end. It was time to head to the SOS hangout, Inferno. What are you saying? Come on, guys. It's like, it's you. It's just you. Oh, the three of them? Why is the publisher running with them? It's like, okay, sure. Yeah, I guess I'm just along for the ride. Okay, sure. The three ran long and hard after leaving the cafe. Chiaki, are you even done with your article? If the proofing deadline was 7 o'clock, they needed to finish up with SOS by 6:30 at the latest. The gang's hangout was in Uraharajuku. Running all the way there on foot was going to eat into too much of their time, so that's why the taxi driver was there? Oh, but there's traffic. But traffic was at a near standstill for some reason, and there wasn't a taxi in sight. No, our taxi friend. How long do you plan on running like this? Katayama called out, panting. Just take a look at the road. With this traffic, there's no point in hailing a cab. Even Minorikawa was feeling the time pressure now. We're gonna have to keep running until the road's clear. What? Katayama wailed. Stop your whining. Just keep quiet and stick with me. He'd finally gotten Toyama to find his willpower again. Next month's issue would come out on time, and there was no way that some printer guy was going to mess that up now. But the traffic showed no signs of abating. Catching a cab wasn't going to be an option. Fighting an ever louder echo of despair, Minorikawa kept up in his desperate headlong rush. To rush into a situation recklessly or heedlessly. Heedlessly. Why did I read it like that? Not quite the same thing as being a daredevil. Still, there were limits to how far the mind could push the body before exhaustion set in. Eek. Oh, hey, that was me. Ah, she freaking died. Oh, no! And she dropped the computer as well, no! Chiaki, are you okay? As they were running across a pedestrian overpass, Chiaki slipped and took a nasty fall. She skinned her knee hard enough to draw blood. It's pretty bad. Hey, you! Minorikawa snapped at Katayama. Just stand there! Help the poor girl already! Katayama scurried over to Chiaki. I'm sorry, Mr. Mino. Hi. Chiaki's voice bubbled with suppressed tears. Maybe it was cruel to make her run with the computer all the way to Harajuku. Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. You didn't necessarily have to call for her, is what I'm thinking. She didn't have to be there. But the copy for her interview still needed to be looked over. We couldn't just send it in as is. They couldn't just leave her here. Minorikawa hesitated, undecided. Even at a full run, they wouldn't make it in time. And with traffic the way it was, there was nothing they could do. You now have... Katayama consulted his pocket watch. Man, screw you. Exactly 1 hour remaining. Damn it. Minorikawa raged. What do we do? Relentlessly, the clock ticked on. And I gotta keep out. Yeah? I got it to be continued, even. Wow, okay. Dang. Imagine, this is supposed to be like the climax point of the story, and this is like Minorikawa's most stressful situation, is a deadline for an article, and seemingly Chiaki falling. That's the most stress he's ever had in his entire life, compared to everyone else, where it's like, my father might be a murderer or conspirator, Kano is a detective, he's constantly on edge, Osawa, like, the whole fate of Shibuya could be at stake here, and then there's Minorikawa, he's just a guy. He's just a guy, you know? Interesting, okay, cool. I heard snapped and thought she snapped her knee. Oh, that would have been bad. That would have been really bad. I was like, oh boy. Ugh. She also got painted by the red paint. Indeed. Indeed. Hey, writing a news article is pretty stressful. This is his life. That's fair, but it's also not comparable to any of the other protagonists and what they're going through right now. It's just like, dang, what can be done? I still think Katayama is super suspicious. I think it's gonna turn out that he's like, wahaha, I'm Alphard, and you see I needed the article because all a part of my master plan. You don't understand. I assume. That's my theory right now. But in terms of like the actual high point, the high point of Minorikawa's story, it's just kind of like, yeah, it's like, yeah, it's just me. I'm just living life. And everybody else is just screaming, screaming, including Maria, and her story has ended. All right, cool. So we have a keep out here. We have a jump here. To who? Endo Electronics. Oh, it's the young man. Okay. All right, nothing to do now but to start ACHI'S story then. So let's just go for it. Achi told Stanley and Hitomi what his father had done. As she listened, Hitomi hung her head. Her face was sallow. I'm so sorry, Achi told her. I'm not really sure what to say. He clenched his fist so hard his knuckles popped, struggling to keep his emotions in check. So, if I were rendered brain dead, you could help your sister, Hitomi murmured. A state where the brain function has ceased irreversibly. In Japan, there are two conditions no longer... Okay, this is new information. We did talk about this a little bit earlier, but this is new information. The first is that the patient must be comatose and in a state of apnea, no longer breathing, due to damage to the brain. The second is that the root cause is diagnosed and is deemed that no reasonable treatment will restore brain function. I see. Stop, Achi said quickly. Please, don't say things like that. A sad look came to Hitomi's face, and she pressed her right hand to her heart. I mean, to find out like this. She turned to Achi, tears glistening in her eyes. I want to help your sister, but... We have other things to worry about right now. This time, it was Stanley who cut her off. Remember, Alphard is after you, Hitomi. Isn't that what Kanan told you? Yes, she said I was the mastermind's target. Hitomi wiped her tears away with her fingertips. It is just not a very good day for you, Hitomi. So Alphard and Achi's father are after the same thing, Stanley said. Is that just a coincidence? It didn't sound like he thought so. Hold up, Achi growled, leaning in from the back seat. Yeah, my dad's way out of line. But what he did was for Suzune. He wouldn't work for terrorists. I'm not saying he's deliberately aiding terrorists, Stanley replied coolly. It's common sense that a pro wouldn't get an amateur involved with their plans. That makes it too likely that a clumsy misstep will cause things to fall apart. But then again, that's not the way Alphard thinks. So, actually, the likelihood of failure could be part of the plan. Achi thought back to what Kanan had said earlier. If you achieve your goals using accidental means, the outline becomes blurred and makes it harder for anyone outside looking in to grasp what the actual plan is. Look at me, I'm in a flashback. Not only have they put together a perfect plan, they've purposely left certain tiny holes in it. That's not your voice. She's supposed to be lower than Hitomi. Damn it. So if you assume the plan has failed, this slip-up might be exactly what Alphard wants, Stanley muttered. Sort of an intentional hole, then, Stanley said. Achi said, even. Stanley snorted. Kanan told you guys that too, huh? If that's the case, you really are a fool. What did you just call me? Achi barked. If you'd known all along how formidable this opponent is, you should have given Hitomi over to police custody right away. It's only a matter of dumb luck that either of you are still alive right now. It really is. We've gotten a ton of bad endings. You should have seen them. Look, luck or not, me and Hitomi have managed to get by safely. That's all that matters. Remember that one timeline in which Hitomi died because there was a cockroach on her on her hair? She died. Anyway, what exactly is the relationship between you two anyway? Are you guys dating? Achi and Hitomi exchanged glances. When Hitomi hesitated uneasily, Achi decided he better speak up. No, it's not like that. We just happened to run into each other earlier today. Guess I'm not the kind of guy who can abandon someone in trouble. Can abandon someone in trouble, huh? You sure you're not just trying to make yourself feel self-important? There are plenty of people who have their alarms that just go off on stream every day and they never turn them off. Never. Just never turn them off. What about the death? It's like, yeah, there was a time, how do I bad end list? This is the guide, shut up. You've told me this like 10 times. Yeah, this one right here. Hitomi passed out after a cockroach fell into her head out of nowhere. Well, not out of nowhere exactly. She passed out and then she died. And that's just how it goes, you know? Stream's alarm now. It is your alarm. Get up and stretch and get some water. We really haven't gotten a whole lot of bad ends for Osawa, but everybody else is kind of racking up some bad ends now. Okay. All right. There are plenty of people out there who can't see you are also in who are also in trouble. Blah, 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 who are also suffering. Yeah, I said the line. If you only help the ones close at hand, then what's the point, really? The world's a lot bigger than you can imagine, and there's a lot you're blind to. So what? If I see someone who's in trouble, I'm supposed to just ignore them? Nah, I can't do that. If I see someone who's collapsed from hunger, I'm not just gonna walk on by because there are people starving somewhere else in the world. Bill, hey man, let me treat you to a beef bowl or whatever. You couldn't come up with a smarter example? Stanley replied with a tiny laugh. Okay, so I'm an idiot. Kano scowled. My bad. Stanley laughed again. Today's been an interesting day, he said. I was with another fellow earlier who's just like you. Kano? Meaning what? He was an idiot too? I mean, yeah. Yeah, he was an idiot. Do all you Japanese have that problem? Whoa. I wouldn't go that far. It's really just Achi. Well, it's really just Achi and Minorikawa and Kano. Osawa and Maria, they're fine. They're fine. Hardly. My little sister's so smart, she'd make your eyes pop out. Well, I'm sure relieved to hear that. If everyone in this country were as dumb as you guys, I might actually start to like this place. Huh? What does that mean? We still don't know, like... I mean, you're working for the CIA, and we get that now, but we still don't really understand your intentions, Stanley. What does that even mean? Talk so I can understand, man. Achi shot back. But Stanley didn't respond. Instead, he stuck his head out the car window, peering at the road ahead. Right, there's traffic. You guys are gonna have to get out of the car or something. They were close to Shibuya Station now, and traffic had ground to a halt. Gridlock again, Stanley grumbled. It's probably better to walk the rest of the way to Endo Electronics. He pulled over on the side of the road. Specifically, the shoulder that runs along either side of the travel portion of the roadway, a place where trash is tossed out of windows and moving cars tend to accumulate. Tossing cigarette butts and empty cans onto the street can potentially hurt people, and it definitely makes a mess. Please don't litter. Thank you for giving me that reminder during Achi's section of the story. He really appreciates it. Achi got out of the car, feeling his guts knot up with worry. Pretty soon, he was going to have to confront his father. Stanley gave Achi a look. Are you scared about meeting with your father? I'm not scared. First things first, I'm gonna punch him right in the face. Then we can have ourselves a chat. Don't let your emotions get out of control. Your father might be one of the key players in this case. I don't give a damn about that. Achi took Hitomi by the hand and started walking. Oh, it's the same one that got used in Kano's side of the story. They'd gone up and down Dogenzaka many times today already. But this was probably the last time he and Hitomi would make their way up the hill together. His anger rising. It really does feel like the end of the game. I was gonna say this when what is it? When Toyama and Hana walk away, but it feels like, I don't know, something about that scene was like, this is the final time we're ever gonna see them, like, on camera, at the very least. We're gonna hear about them, maybe, but this is the final time we're ever actually gonna see them. Which is interesting. But this was probably the last time he and Hitomi would make their way up the hill together. His anger rising, Achi picked up the speed. Achi walked at an easy pace, wanting to delay the end of their time together just a little longer. Once they reached his home, this kidnapping case would all be over, because his own father, Daisuke, would be arrested as the culprit. Kidnapping for ransom carries a potential life sentence with a definite term of imprisonment and no less than 3 years. That's a crazy thing to sacrifice. Like, you have a daughter, you have a son, and you're just gonna sacrifice all of that for, you know, like, I understand that your heart, you're kind of broken up about your daughter potentially dying, but it's crazy. Bringing Daisuke down would be easy. Achi wasn't worried about that part at all. If he didn't hold back, there was a good chance he'd wind up hurting his father. Holding back. Getting hurt. A memory from long ago rose to Achi's mind. Interesting. He'd rather go to jail for the rest of his life than let his daughter die. Which on a paper setting that makes sense. But it's like, he also, like, you have a son as well. Like, you're just gonna kind of abandon him. It's like, whatever. Who cares about him? And it's just like, he's got tunnel vision, essentially. He's not seeing things clearly, because he's still traumatized by the loss of his wife, I assume. A memory from long ago rose in Achi's mind. A pure white karate gi. Karate even. Gi. Karate even. I think that's how they said in the SpongeBob. Thrusting out with his left fist, Daisuke collapsed to the floor. One of the many memories of his father that Achi could not forget. Kneeling before the memorial altar of his mother, Kotone, Achi wept uncontrollably. He clutched his ohajiki tightly in his hands. A toy made of small coin-shaped glass beads somewhat similar to marbles. The typical game involves flicking one's pieces into the opponents with a fingertip. Specific rules greatly vary by region. Achi had always been rather clingy with his mother. When she was alive, she had often joined him for ohajiki, origami, and the like. On this particular day, Achi had come home miserable after getting bullied by one of the neighborhood kids for acting like a wimp. Interesting. This is quite interesting lore to get. Achi lore to get this late into everything else that's kind of been going on. Achi. He turned to see his father holding 2 cups of shaven ice. "Come here for a bit." They sat on the stairs together, eating their sweet frozen confections. "You want to get tougher?" Daisuke's words were soft and simple. "How about you and me get tougher together?" Achi looked up at his father, frowning in confusion. "How are we gonna do that?" "Well, for starters, how about we learn some karate?" Let's give him like this voice, like maybe a little bit higher. Karate? Achi's face twisted up unhappily at the idea. He couldn't even imagine himself punching or kicking anyone. It'll be all right," his dad said. "I'll go with you. Don't you worry." Daisuke flexed one of his scrawny arms. His biceps bulged up the tiniest bit. Achi was well aware of that his father wasn't much of an athlete. There had been an athletics meet at his grade school. Even now, the memory of Daisuke tripping clumsily during the parent participation relay was burned into Achi's memory. I can imagine. The type of children's event where parents who come to watch their children compete are asked to join with them. Daisuke took part in the tug-of-war, only to get tangled up in the rope and dragged over the line. Achi was understandably disheartened by his father's embarrassing display, but after eating the lunch with his father made for him, his spirits quickly returned. Daisuke had made rice balls that were clumsily oversalted, but Achi could tell how hard he worked to prepare them. Aww. If you're gonna be there. And so the two began training together at a local karate dojo. Achi put on his white gi and fastened his obi tightly. As he did so, he felt as if his feelings were being anchored in place as well. Ichi, ni, san! Yeah! Achi's gi sleeves made a whooshing sound as he thrust out his fist in time with the sensei's chants. Even a simple kata practice made him feel like he was getting stronger somehow. His dad, having left Suzune in the care of their neighbor, was working up a sweat alongside him. I see. So she's not actually in the hospital yet. But he was out of shape, and his technique was shaky. He was soon exhausted and went to lean up against the dojo wall. Achi stepped out of the training circle and called out to his father. Dad, are you okay? Yeah, I'm just gonna take a little break. Daisuke sounded like he was on the edge of hyperventilating. Thanks, Dad. What for? For asking me to come take karate lessons with you. Achi was sure he'd never have dared to go to the dojo alone. Hey, just as long as you're liking it. Now go on, get back to training. With a deep bow, Achi resumed his kata practice. As they were walking home from the dojo, Achi turned to his father. It's interesting because we couldn't get this flashback earlier, because if we had gotten it earlier, I feel like it would have raised so much suspicion on Achi's father. Where it's like, why are we getting so much focus on him? Well, he's gonna turn out to be evil or die or something. That's gonna be one of the two options only. So, yeah, that makes sense why we're getting it now, of all things. How come you want to get stronger, Dad? He asked. You're not getting bullied by your friends. Daisuke went quiet for a few moments before answering. His words came out awkward and embarrassed. I was picked on a lot when I was your age too, Achi. I had a friend who would come and bail me out. A friend? Yeah, a friend. A distant look came to his father's eyes. He was a real fighter. I always looked up to him. Aw. I want to be strong, like him. His expression turned lonely. I don't get to see him anymore, though. Adult bullying. I don't think in this case. It's like when I was younger, when I was, high school-ish age, or maybe middle school age. So, thankfully not adult bullying. That's a different topic. That sucks. That really sucks. Why not? Achi asked. Did he die? No, nothing like that. Then did you guys have a fight? Something like that. Daisuke smiled sadly. Bullying is nasty at any age. True and real and fair. There's just something extra, like, I think, pathetic about it, where when it's an adult, when it's dealing with adults, because it's like, you really have no excuse. There really is no excuse. At least the excuse is like middle school. There's a lot of hormones. I don't feel like we have enough support for middle schoolers to like get through like a very emotional and tumultuous time for what it is, and it kind of leads to bullying as a result for what it is, and it sucks and it's awful. But when you're an adult, it's just like, why are you back in high school? Like, what's going on here? So, he stared out into the sky for a while before speaking up again. His name's Tatano. My friend, that's his name. Achi's father increased his pace. Come on, he said. We have to go and pick up Suzune. After that, despite Achi's questions, Daisuke would say no more about his old friend. By the time he was almost done with grade school, Achi had grown up fit and strong, almost unrecognizable from his younger self. Perhaps he'd had the physical knack in him all along. He was chosen as the representative for the boys' karate team, even managing to take second place in a national tournament. Hey, that's pretty good. Nobody bullied Achi anymore, I can imagine. One time, Daisuke suggested that the two of them do some sparring. Achi may have been a national competitor, sure, but he was still a grade schooler squaring off against an adult. His father had been training for close to 2 years now as well, and his confidence had grown accordingly. Interesting, so he kind of kept up with it as well. It wasn't like, oh, I have to, after a month I'm going to drop out. Achi was excited to be able to face off against this old man. Early on in their karate training, Achi's kumite had seemed rather hopeless. I feel like I've heard that word before in SpongeBob. In SpongeBob, I just keep thinking back to SpongeBob. Somebody brought this up at some point. I don't know. He'd been shocked that his out-of-shape father had been able to overpower him, but also pleased to get a sense of how strong the man was. This time, Achi thought, he might well lose again, but he was going to go all out. As they adopted their fighting stances, Daisuke's face was full of confidence. The instructor gave the signal to begin, and Achi opened with a sharp low kick. Daisuke didn't guard against it. The blow caught him in the thigh. It looked to Achi like he'd allow himself to take the hit, not fearing the effect of a child's kick. Achi proceeded to unleash several more low kicks to the same spot. Bit by bit, Daisuke's face revealed discomfort. Finally, he yanked his leg away. That was when Achi realized his father wasn't letting himself get hit on purpose. He was just unable to keep up with the speed of his son's footwork. If that was the case, Achi felt bad about exploiting his dad's weakness. He decided to leave his leg alone. Instead, he aimed for a punch at his father's midsection. He was shocked by the impact as the blow struck home. He hadn't attacked with a great deal of force. He'd just thrown a light midsection punch as a check, but then he died. Ow! Son, why did you do that? Ow! But as Achi pulled his fist back, Daisuke crumpled to the floor, writhing in pain as he clutched his gut. Achi stared in disbelief at his own hand. That was the last day that Daisuke went to the dojo. Aww. Aww. It's a bitter memory. Your dad's pathetic. Yeah, he's such a loser. Achi was on his way home from practice, and some older students from the dojo had started ribbing on him. What did you say? These kids were middle schoolers, but Achi wasn't about to back down. He thrust out a quick punch, stopping it in just short of one boy's nose. Go on, say that again. I'll kick your ass. The older boys went pale and took off and ran. But this small victory did nothing to bolster Achi's spirits. His father had looked so small and lonely, heading away after quitting karate. But Achi didn't think there was anything pathetic about it. Sure, maybe by now he was better at karate than his father, but really, what difference did that make? In growing stronger, he'd learned something. Using force to win over someone else didn't mean anything. Strength alone didn't determine a person's worth. Achi loved and respected his father for going to the dojo with him. Beating him in a karate match didn't change the way he felt. Alright, now back to the present. After depression, cool. Achi resurfaced from his memories to hear Stanley talking on the phone. I see. So, that's what's going on. Oh, right, Kano called. I forgot about that. Once we're finished with things in Dogonzaka, I'll bring Hitomi right back to the precinct. Curious, Achi turned to the American. Who are you talking to? What was that about just now? By bring Hitomi in, do you mean you're gonna arrest her? What was that about just now? Stanley's reply was clipped. I know what they're after now. With that, Stanley proceeded to wrap up his phone call. Guess I'm not going to be getting much out of this guy, Achi thought. By now, he could see Endo Electronics up ahead. Achi was about to hurry inside when Stanley stopped him. I'll go in first. You two, wait out here. No way. This is my dad we're talking about. And you don't think it's dangerous to bring Hitomi right to him? Well, alright. We'll wait here for a bit, and once we know it's safe, we'll head on in. You cool with that? I'm cool with that. Stanley stepped inside. Achi fussed about impatiently, staring at the entryway. The palm of his clenched fist was sweating. Never before in his life had he wanted to just deck his old man. Hitomi watched him uneasily. Hitomi. Yes? I'm sorry. I really don't want you to have to see this, but I think you're about to witness the crowning shame and witness the crowning shame in Endo family history. Achi, don't say that, Hitomi said. She squeezed his hand. Aw, they didn't let go of each other's hands. Aw. He found his other fist unclenching. Please, you have to try to talk to your father. Yeah, I know. Suddenly, there was a loud crash from inside the building. The time for waiting had passed. Let's go. Achi and Hitomi raced inside. Barging into the living quarters without bothering to shed his shoes, he heard his father's voice coming from the workroom. Dad! Achi hurried through the workroom door and saw Stanley holding his father pinned across the desk. Let me go! Please, let me go! Daisuke thrashed both of his legs. Stanley, please, let my father go! I want to talk to him! Stanley snorted dismissively. He's like, yeah, whatever. But did as he was asked. Daisuke stood up, rubbing at a sore wrist. Dad, please, you have to tell me. Where is Maria? Well, she's on her way right now. How did she know to show up here? Am I stupid? Am I forgetting a plot point? I probably am, but it's like, how does she know to show up here specifically? Maria, what are you talking about? Daisuke wouldn't meet his eyes. Don't play dumb with me. Achi pointed to Hitomi. You know who this is, don't you? Hitomi Osawa, the girl you've been after. Maria is her sister. But Daisuke remained silent. You're gonna pretend you didn't call the hospital? Nothing about maybe being able to get your hands on a heart? I mean, seriously, it's all so simple. Even I can tell what's been going on. You've been watching me and Hitomi through the surveillance cameras. And you were telling that guy with the cane where we were. Oh, okay. Okay. Alright, I see. The blood began to drain from his father's face. Don't you go quiet on me. If I'm wrong, then go ahead. Tell me the truth. Daisuke's arm shot out suddenly, knocking an external hard drive from his desk onto the floor. It was over and done before Stanley could stop him. Stanley hunched down and picked up the shattered drive. I'm guessing there was important data on here. Footage from the cameras, maybe. I have no idea what you're talking about. Daisuke spat. You can't do this to an innocent person, Dad! Achi shouted, grabbing his father by the collar. There was a sound of footsteps from out in the shop. Someone was getting closer. It's Tama Comedy Hour! Zippy! Stanley grabbed Hitomi by the hand and pulled her back against the wall. I think it should be Maria. Right? Achi stiffened as he turned his gaze to the door. And I gotta keep out, huh? Oh, right. Okay. Okay, that makes sense, yeah. Because Kano has one for him, right? So we can just go... We can go from here to here. There's a lot of keep outs here. Now it's really going into the thick of things. It was one... Yeah, it's one here. Between these two, basically. And I'm guessing there's one... Maybe somewhere between these two, somehow. And then there's one between these two, somehow. I don't know. Something like that. I say when I sneak up on somebody. Yep. There's like hello, I'm here. I'm potentially here to murder you. I don't know. So many keep outs. Yeah. But it's getting interesting. There was like that one time block. I don't know. I don't remember when it was. I don't remember anymore. There was that one time block where it was like there were so many keep outs and there was so many jumping around, and I was like, this doesn't make any sense in my brain. But since then, it's kind of been smooth sailing. Yeah, I've really liked it. I really like the use of game mechanics here. So I read that as tuturu. Tuturu. From Steins Gate. Yeah, maybe that too. Maybe that too. Well, is now a good time to end, or do I want to continue forward? We're going to... we're gonna continue forward a little bit more, just a little bit more. Probably to like a next scene here with Achi, but that's about it. What do you mean the jump isn't open? The jump has to be open. Is it just blocked out now? The jump has to be open. Here. They just have to hope the young man... Yeah? The hell? What? Huh? And after I just said it's been smooth sailing, of course. What? Must be missing something else. What the hell? That means something is wrong in one of the choices I made. I don't think this is wrong. I don't think this is wrong. I didn't make any choices with Osawa. So it has to be something with Minorikawa. My god. My god. No. No. What other jumps do you have? Right now, the jumps are... to Achi here. That didn't work. We have one jump to Kenji Osawa here, which we made. And then now we have a keep out. We just have a keep out. A general keep out. There was a choice that was made here for questioning. So maybe I have to go back and do that. That might be it as well. Yeah, either Minorikawa or Osawa, I think. It's like something has to be changed. I had to get a jump from here somehow. But where is Achi right now? Hold on. Achi has a keep out right here. Who else also matches that? Not Maria, that's for sure. Osawa kind of matches that, but Osawa doesn't have any choices. So, could try changing Minorikawa's choices. Yeah, that's what I was thinking as well. Interesting. All right. Well, in that, you know what? In that case, I think I'm gonna end here for today. I'm gonna end here for today because okay. After I just said, oh, it's been smooth sailing. I love the use of game mechanics, and the game was just like, haha, you thought the game was easy. Okay, cool. Neat. Awesome. I will... Yeah, it's definitely something in Minorikawa or Osawa's route. When we come back, I will change something and figure out how to continue the story. Yeah, I'm not too worried about it. So... Alright. Okay. Woo. Let me go over to look for a raid. Look for a raid. Clipping that. Thank you for the clips. Thank you. When we come back tomorrow, I will be starting a new game. I will be starting Never 7 into Infinity? Out of Infinity? The End of Infinity? The End of Infinity. It is called The End of Infinity. Okay, cool. That is the game in which... It's a very old game. And this is like a re-release of the game that Uchikoshi, the creator of Zero Escape, had worked on. He's not the head of the game, but he did the scenario writing and things like that, and it often comes back up in his later works, so I hear. So we're gonna be checking that out. There's a few issues with the port, the current port that we have, but we're gonna try it and see what happens. We'll talk about that tomorrow when we get there. Thank you for the clip. Thank you. We'll talk about those issues when we get there tomorrow. For now, who to raid? I don't know. I feel like I haven't seen Saruka in like 10 years. So, I don't know. Let's just go raid Saruka. I haven't seen Saruka in like a billion years. So, let's go raid, say hello, all that good stuff. If you are here, thank you so much for hanging out. I really appreciate it. Story's getting good. I'm really appreciating it. I'm really enjoying it even. So, yeah, looking forward to it. Have a wonderful rest of your night, everyone. Bye bye. Bye bye. Bye bye bye.